Jake Morrison stood at the big window of Luna Station and looked at Earth. The blue planet spun slowly in the black space. It looked peaceful. It looked safe. But Jake knew that would change very soon. 3 days ago, strange ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were huge, much bigger than any ship humans had ever built. The aliens inside these ships had sent one message to Earth. The message was not friendly. "We are the Zephyrian Empire," the message had said. "Your people will serve us or die. You have no choice. Your weapons are weak. Your ships are small. Do not try to fight us." The aliens had given Earth 72 hours to surrender. That time was almost up. Admiral Lisa Carter had tried to talk to the aliens. She had sent messages asking for peace. She had offered to share human knowledge and culture. The aliens had not wanted to talk. They had wanted to show Earth what happened to people who did not obey them. The first attack had been on Europa Station. 8,000 people lived there. They were scientists and miners and their families. They had done nothing wrong. They had just been working and living their lives. Alien ship had appeared near Jupiter without warning. It had fired one beam of bright energy at the station. The beam had cut through the metal walls like they were paper. The station had broken apart. All 8,000 people had died in seconds. Jake had watched the attack on the video screens. He had seen the station explode. He had seen the bodies floating in space. He had seen children who would never grow up. He had seen parents who would never see their kids again. A second attack had been on Mars Colony Beta. 12,000 people had lived there. They had been building new homes and farms. They had been making Mars a place where humans could live and work. The aliens had destroyed it all with one shot. Then the mining stations around Saturn had been hit. 5,000 more people had died. The aliens were not just killing people. They were showing Earth that nowhere was safe. They were proving that humans could not protect themselves. Dr. Amanda Price worked at the Lunar Research Center. She had been studying the alien attacks. She had found something strange. The aliens were not trying to take over human cities or steal human resources. They were just killing people. They wanted to wipe out all humans. They don't want our planets, Amanda had told the other scientists. They don't want our technology. They just want us gone. They think we are bugs that need to be stepped on. The final alien message had come 6 hours ago. This time there was no offer to surrender. There was no chance to talk. The message was simple and cold. Humans are not worthy of life. We will destroy your planet in 12 hours. Your species will. And today, nothing you do will stop us. Jake turned away from the window. He walked through the station corridors. Everywhere he looked, people were working. Some were fixing weapons. Others were loading supplies. Everyone was getting ready for the battle. They knew they could not win. Earth Defense Force had only 200 ships. Most of them were small. None of them were as powerful as the alien ships. The aliens had 3,000 ships. Each ship could destroy a city. Each ship had shields that could stop nuclear bombs. Captain Steve Blake was in the command center. He was looking at the screens that showed the alien fleet. The enemy ships were moving toward Earth in perfect formation. They were not worried about human weapons. They were not trying to hide. They thought humans were too weak to fight back. They're coming straight at us, Steve said to the other officers. They're not even trying to be careful. They think this will be easy. General Patricia Hayes was the commander of all Earth forces. She had been a soldier for 30 years. She had fought in the water wars and the moon conflicts. She had never faced an enemy like this. We can't match their firepower, Patricia said. We can't match their shields. We can't match their speed. But we have something they don't have. What's that? Asked Captain Blake. We have anger, Patricia said. They killed our people. They destroyed our homes. They think we will just lie down and die. They're wrong. The alien fleet was getting closer. Earth's defense platforms were powering up. Every human ship was moving into position. Civilians were hiding in underground bunkers. The military was preparing for the fight of their lives. Jake looked at the other people on Luna Station. Some were scared, some were angry, some were crying. But none of them were giving up. They all knew they might die today. But they also knew they had to try. Dr. Amanda Price had found something important in the wreckage of the destroyed stations. The alien weapons worked in a specific way. They used energy frequencies that could be disrupted. It was not much, but it was a start. Their shields have a weakness, Amanda told the military commanders. If we can hit them with electromagnetic pulses, we might be able to get through. It was not much hope, but it was something. The alien fleet was now 6 hours away from Earth. The final battle was about to begin. Humans had never faced an enemy this powerful. They had never been so outnumbered. They had never had so little chance of winning. But they also had never been so angry. The aliens had made a mistake. They had not just attacked Earth. They had attacked families. They had killed children. They had destroyed homes. They had made it personal. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. They had conquered 47 star systems. They had destroyed countless civilizations. They had never lost a battle, but they had never fought humans before. The first strike had been theirs. They had hit first and hit hard. They had shown Earth their power. They had tried to break human spirit. Instead, they had awakened something that would destroy them. The emergency meeting had been the biggest in human history. Leaders from every country came together. They put aside all their old fights and arguments. They had only one goal now. Survive. President Maria Santos spoke for all of Earth. We are not fighting for land or money, she said. We are fighting for the right to exist. Our children's lives depend on what we do today. The vote was quick and unanimous. Every nation agreed. Every leader said yes. Total war was declared against the Zephyrian Empire. All of Earth's resources would go to the military. All of Earth's people would help in the fight. General Patricia Hayes was given command of the new Human Defense Coalition. She had fought in many wars, but never one like this. Her first order was to unlock every secret weapon project that had been hidden away. We are not playing by the old rules anymore, Patricia told her officers. The Geneva Convention is suspended. Nuclear weapons are allowed. Chemical weapons are allowed. Biological weapons are allowed. We will use everything we have. The scientists worked day and night. They studied the pieces of the destroyed space stations. They looked at every bit of alien technology they could find. They searched for any weakness in the enemy. Dr. Kevin Torres ran the Weapons Research Division. He had been studying the alien energy beams. He found something that gave him hope. The alien shields worked on a single frequency. They were designed to stop bullets and lasers, but they were not designed to stop radio waves. It's like they never fought anyone who used radios, Kevin explained to the other scientists. Their shields can stop our missiles, but they can't stop electromagnetic pulses. We can disrupt their power systems. Lieutenant Rachel Murphy worked in naval intelligence. She had been watching videos of the alien attacks. She noticed something strange about how the aliens fought. They always did the same thing. They always attacked in the same way. They're not creative, Rachel told her team. They follow a script. They do exactly what their manual tells them to do. They don't know how to adapt when something unexpected happens. Captain Tony Rodriguez was at the Deep Space Monitoring Station. He had been tracking the alien fleet as it moved toward Earth. He discovered something amazing. The alien ships were flying on autopilot. They were following a computer program. They're not even steering their own ships, Tony reported to headquarters. The computers are doing everything. The aliens are just sitting there. They're so confident that they're not even paying attention. This news changed everything. General Hayes called another meeting. This time she was smiling. They think we're bugs, she said. They think this will be easy. They're so sure of themselves that they're not even trying. That's their mistake. The mobilization of Earth began immediately. Every factory was converted to make weapons. Every shipyard started building warships. Every research lab was given a military project. The civilian population was moved to safety. The old Cold War bunkers were reopened. New shelters were built deep underground. Cities were evacuated. Everyone who could not fight was hidden away, but the most important work was happening in the military labs. Scientists were creating new weapons based on what they had learned about alien technology. They were building electromagnetic pulse generators. They were designing computer viruses. They were preparing surprises that the aliens would never expect. Dr. Amanda Price was working with the captured alien computer systems. She had found a way to translate their language. She had learned how their technology worked. Most importantly, she had found their weakness. They're bureaucrats, Amanda told the military commanders. They're not soldiers. They're office workers who happen to have big guns. They follow procedures. They fill out forms. They do everything by the book. This was the key to defeating them. Humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They knew how to be unpredictable. They knew how to break rules. They knew how to do whatever it took to win. Captain Steve Blake was preparing his ship for battle. The Earth Defense Force had grown from 200 ships to over 800. Most of the new ships were old cargo vessels and mining ships that had been fitted with weapons. We're not trying to match their firepower, Steve explained to his crew. We're trying to be smarter than them. We're going to hit them where they don't expect it. We're going to fight dirty. The plan was simple but dangerous. Instead of meeting the alien fleet head-on, human ships would hide throughout the solar system. They would wait behind planets and asteroids. They would attack from ambush. Commander Jake Morrison was given command of a special mission. His ship would hide behind the moon. When the alien fleet arrived, he would disable their lead ship with electromagnetic pulses. Then he would board it and learn everything he could about their technology. This is a suicide mission, Jake told his crew. If we fail, we all die. If we succeed, we might save Earth. Anyone who wants to leave can go now. Nobody left. Every member of his crew volunteered to stay. They all knew the risks. They all knew they might not come home. But they also knew that someone had to try. Alien fleet was getting closer. Long-range sensors showed that they were still following their computer program. They were still flying in perfect formation. They were still not taking any precautions. General Hayes watched the tactical displays. The alien ships were only 12 hours away from Earth. Soon the real battle would begin. But first, there was something else she had to do. She opened a communication channel to every human ship in the solar system. She spoke to every pilot, every gunner, every engineer who would be fighting in the coming battle. They killed our people, she said. They destroyed our homes. They think we are weak. They think we will surrender. They are wrong. We are humans. We have been fighting for survival since we first stood up and walked. We will not lie down and die for them. The response was immediate. Every ship in the fleet sent back the same message, ready to fight. Dr. Kevin Torres had finished his work on the electromagnetic pulse weapons. Every human ship now carried them. They were not perfect. They would only work at close range. But they were Earth's best hope for getting through the alien shields. Lieutenant Rachel Murphy had prepared detailed intelligence reports on alien tactics. She had found patterns in their behavior. She had identified their weaknesses. She had given the human fleet a fighting chance. Captain Tony Rodriguez had mapped the alien fleet's approach route. He had identified which ships were the most important. He had marked the targets that needed to be destroyed first. Everything was ready. The humans had done everything they could to prepare. Now they could only wait and hope that it would be enough. The alien fleet was 6 hours away. The final battle was about to begin. Earth's defenders were outnumbered 15-1. Their weapons were weaker. Their ships were smaller. Their technology was less advanced. But they had something the aliens did not have. They had the determination of a species that refused to die. The alien fleet arrived at Earth exactly when they had predicted. They came in perfect formation, like a parade of death. The lead ship was the size of a small city. Behind it came hundreds of smaller warships, each one capable of destroying a human city. Admiral Lisa Carter watched from the command center on Luna Station. The alien fleet was moving slowly toward Earth. They were not scanning for hidden ships. They were not checking for ambushes. They were acting like they were arriving at a victory celebration. "They're not even trying to be careful," Lisa said. To her staff, "They think we're already beaten." Commander Jake Morrison was hiding behind the moon in his ship, the Vengeance. He had shut down all power except life support. His ship was cold and dark. The alien sensors could not detect them. The first alien ship to die was the massive dreadnought called the Dominator. It had destroyed 3 entire star systems. It had killed billions of people. Its crew thought they were invincible. The Dominator passed within a few kilometers of the moon. Its crew was probably looking at Earth and planning where to attack first. They never saw Jake's ship waiting in the shadows. Jake gave the order to fire every electromagnetic pulse generator on his ship activated at the same time. The invisible energy wave hit the alien ship like a hammer. The Dominator's shields flickered and died. Its lights went out. Its engines stopped. Its weapons powered down. In 3 seconds, the most powerful ship in the alien fleet had become a helpless piece of metal floating in space. "Target disabled," Jake reported to Admiral Carter. "Beginning boarding operations." Jake's crew put on their spacesuits and crossed over to the alien ship. They expected to find hundreds of soldiers waiting to fight them. Instead, they found something that changed everything. The alien crew was not made up of warriors. They were clerks and technicians and administrators. They had never been in a real battle before. They had never expected to fight anyone who could fight back. "They're not soldiers," Jake radioed to the command center. "They're office workers. They don't know how to fight. They just push buttons and follow orders." The aliens on the ship tried to resist, but they were clumsy and slow. They had been so dependent on their technology that they had forgotten how to fight with their hands. Jake's crew captured them easily. More importantly, they captured the ship's computer systems. The aliens had not even bothered to encrypt their files. Everything was there: fleet positions, attack plans, weapon specifications, and communication. CODES Dr. Amanda Price analyzed the captured data. What she found was both encouraging and terrifying. The aliens were not creative. They followed the same tactics in every battle. They had standard procedures for everything. "They're like a bureaucracy with guns," Amanda reported to General Hayes. "They have a manual for everything. They never deviate from their plans. They can't adapt when something unexpected happens." The second alien ship to die was the Annihilator. It had been responsible for destroying the Mars colonies. Captain Steve Blake had been waiting for revenge. Dr. Amanda Price had created a computer virus using the alien codes they had captured. The virus was hidden in a fake distress signal from a damaged human transport ship. The Annihilator's crew followed their standard procedures. When they received a distress signal, they were required to investigate. They connected their computers to the human ship's systems to download the distress message. The virus activated immediately. It took control of the alien ship's weapons. Systems. The Annihilator's guns turned around and began firing at other alien ships. The crew tried to regain control, but the virus had locked them out of their own systems. "Their ship is attacking their own fleet," Steve reported with satisfaction. "They're destroying themselves." The alien fleet commander finally realized that something was wrong. He sent out new orders to his ships. They were supposed to spread out and be more careful. But it was too late. Human ships appeared from everywhere. They had been hiding behind asteroids and planets. They had been waiting in the shadows. They attacked from all directions at once. The aliens tried to fight back, but they were confused and frightened. They had never faced an enemy that used guerrilla tactics. They had never fought someone who was willing to sacrifice everything to win. Captain Tony Rodriguez led an attack on the alien supply ships. These ships carried fuel and ammunition for the fleet. They were lightly defended because the aliens had never expected anyone to target them. "Hit the supply ships first," Tony ordered his squadron. "If they can't fuel their ships or reload their weapons, they can't fight." The alien supply ships were destroyed in minutes. The alien fleet was now stranded in the solar system. They could not retreat to their home worlds. They could not call for reinforcements. They had to fight with what they had. Lieutenant Rachel Murphy had been studying the alien communication patterns. She discovered that the aliens used a single command frequency for their entire fleet. If that frequency could be jammed, the alien ships would lose contact with each other. "They're like a body without a nervous system," Rachel explained to Admiral Carter. "If we cut their communications, they won't be able to coordinate their attacks." The human fleet began broadcasting interference on the alien command frequency. Within minutes, the alien formation began to break apart. Ships were moving in random directions. Some were firing at empty space. Others were colliding with each other. General Hayes watched the battle from the command center. What she saw was not a military engagement. It was a massacre. The aliens were not losing because they were outnumbered. They were losing because they did not know how to fight. "They've been winning through superior technology," Hayes told her staff. "But they've never faced anyone who was willing to take that technology away from them." The first day of the counterattack was a complete victory for humanity. 47 alien ships had been destroyed or captured. Only 3 human ships had been lost, and their crews had been evacuated before the attacks. But the aliens still had over 2,000 ships left. They were regrouping and learning from their mistakes. The next phase of the battle would be harder. Admiral Kethfar was the alien fleet commander. He had conquered 12 star systems for the Zephyrian Empire. He had never lost a battle. He could not understand what was happening. "How are they doing this?" he asked his staff. "They are primitives. They have inferior technology. They should be easy to defeat." His intelligence officer tried to explain. "They are not fighting like civilized beings. They are using terrorism and sabotage. They are attacking supply ships and communication centers. They are fighting like animals." Admiral Kethfor decided to send a message to the human fleet. Perhaps they could be reasoned with. Perhaps they could be convinced to surrender. "Your resistance is impressive, but ultimately useless," his message said. "We have 2,000 ships remaining. You have perhaps 100. Surrender now, and we will grant you a quick death." General Hayes received the message and laughed. She composed a reply that would become famous throughout the galaxy. "You killed our people and threatened our families. We are not interested in a quick death. We are interested in making sure you never threaten anyone ever again." The battle for the solar system was just beginning. The aliens had superior numbers and technology, but the humans had something more powerful, the absolute determination to win. The hunt had begun, and the hunters were human. The battle for the solar system had been going on for 3 weeks. Every day brought new fighting. Every day brought new human victories. The alien fleet was being slowly destroyed by tactics they had never seen before. Captain Tony Rodriguez had an idea that would change everything. Instead of just destroying alien ships, why not capture them and use them? The aliens had better technology, but humans were better at fighting. We can turn their own weapons against them, Tony explained to General Hayes. Their ships are automated. Their computers are easy to hack. We can make their fleet fight for us instead of against us. The first captured alien ship was the destroyer-class vessel called the Star Killer. Jake Morrison's crew had disabled it with electromagnetic pulses and boarded it. They found that the ship's computer systems were surprisingly simple to understand. Dr. Amanda Price worked with the ship's artificial intelligence. She reprogrammed it to follow human commands. She taught it to think like a human warrior instead of an alien bureaucrat. It's like teaching a calculator to play chess, Amanda explained to the other scientists. The hardware is powerful, but the software is very basic. We can make it much more effective. The Star Killer was sent back into battle with a human crew. The aliens were shocked to see one of their own ships attacking them. They tried to communicate with it, but the ship ignored their messages. The psychological effect was devastating. The aliens had never seen their own technology used against them. They began to doubt their own equipment. They began to fear their own ships. Lieutenant Rachel Murphy led the next phase of the operation. She took command of a squadron of captured alien ships. All of them had been reprogrammed to fight like humans instead of aliens. We're not just beating them, Rachel reported after her first battle. We're humiliating them. They can't understand how we're using their own ships better than they are. The alien fleet commander, Admiral Kethfer, was becoming desperate. He had lost over half his ships. His remaining forces were demoralized and confused. He decided to make a final stand in the asteroid belt. We will use the asteroids for cover, he told his officers. We will force them to come to us. We will use our superior firepower to destroy them. But Admiral Lisa Carter had anticipated this move. She had been preparing for this battle for 2 weeks. The asteroid belt was about to become a trap, but not for the humans. Captain Steve Blake had been working with the mining crews in the asteroid belt. They had been placing explosives throughout the area. Every major asteroid had been turned into a bomb. The entire belt was now a minefield. When they enter the belt, we'll detonate the charges, Steve explained to his crew. They'll be flying through a storm of rock and metal. Their shields won't be able to stop everything. The alien fleet entered the asteroid belt in formation. They were confident that their shields would protect them from any debris. They had no idea that the humans had turned the entire area into a weapon. The first explosions caught them completely by surprise. Asteroids the size of buildings were torn apart by human explosives. The fragments moved faster than bullets. They hit the alien ships like a storm of death. The alien shields flickered and failed under the constant bombardment. Ship after ship was torn apart by the flying rock. The perfect formation dissolved into chaos. Commander Jake Morrison led the human fleet into the asteroid field. His ships were smaller and more maneuverable than the alien vessels. They could dodge the debris. That was destroying the enemy. Attack now, Jake ordered his pilots. They're blind and helpless. Show them what happens when they threaten our families. The battle in the asteroid belt lasted 18 hours. It was the longest continuous space battle in human history. When it was over, the alien fleet had been completely destroyed. Over 1,500 alien ships had been eliminated. Not a single enemy vessel had escaped. The Zephyrian Empire's invasion force was gone, but the humans were not finished. They had learned something important during the battle. They were not just good at fighting. They were the best fighters in the galaxy. Dr. Kevin Torres had been studying the alien communication equipment. He had discovered that the alien ships were still connected to their home world. The communication system worked faster than light. It could cross the galaxy in minutes. "We can track them," Kevin announced to the command staff. "We know where they came from. We know how to get there. We can follow them home." General Hayes called a meeting of the Human Defense Coalition. The question was simple. Should they stop here, or should they continue the fight? "They attacked us first," General Hayes reminded the assembled leaders. "They killed our people. They destroyed our cities. They tried to wipe out our entire species. Are we going to let them go home and do this to someone else?" The vote was unanimous. The war would not end with the defense of Earth. It would end with the complete destruction of the Zephyrian Empire's ability to wage war. The human fleet that prepared to leave the solar system was unlike anything that had ever been assembled. It consisted of over 2,000 ships. Half were captured alien vessels that had been reprogrammed to fight like humans. The other half were human ships that had been upgraded with alien technology. Admiral Lisa Carter was given command of the expedition. Her mission was simple: find the Zephyrian homeworld and eliminate their military capability forever. "We're not going there to conquer," Lisa told her fleet commanders. "We're not going there to colonize. We're going there to make sure they never threaten anyone again." The preparation for the journey took 2 months. Human engineers worked around the clock to upgrade the captured alien ships. They installed human weapons, human tactics, and human fighting spirit. Dr. Amanda Price developed new computer viruses that could spread through the alien computer networks. These viruses would disable alien weapons and shut down their defense systems. Captain Tony Rodriguez trained the crews who would be operating the alien ships. They had to learn alien technology, but they also had to remember to think like humans. "Their computers are more powerful than ours," Tony explained to the trainees. "But they're also more rigid. They can't adapt like human minds can. Use that advantage." The journey to the Zephyrian home world would take 6 weeks. During that time, the human fleet would encounter other species that had been enslaved by the Empire. Each encounter would teach them more about their enemy, but the most important lesson had already been learned. The Zephyrian Empire was not invincible. They were bullies who had never faced anyone willing to fight back. They were bureaucrats who had forgotten how to be warriors. The humans, on the other hand, were a species that had been fighting for survival since the beginning of time. They had fought wild animals, harsh weather, and each other. They had learned to adapt, to improvise, and to never give up. The alien invasion had been intended to destroy humanity. Instead, it had awakened something that the galaxy had never seen before. A species that was not just willing to fight, but was actually good at it. The first strike had been the aliens. They had hit hard and fast, trying to break human spirit. Instead, they had created an enemy that would hunt them across the galaxy. The tide had turned. The hunted had become the hunters, and the hunters were coming for them. The final phase of the operation took 6 months. Human forces hunted down every Zephyrian military installation in the galaxy. They moved from system to system like a plague of destruction. Every warship was destroyed. Every weapons factory was dismantled. Every military base was eliminated. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled through fear and superior technology. When that technology was taken away, they had nothing left. Their military commanders had never learned to fight without overwhelming advantages. Their soldiers had never faced determined resistance. Captain Steve Blake led the assault on the Thin Zephyrian Naval Academy on Kepler 7. The base had trained officers for 300 years. It was considered the pride of the Empire. It was defended by the most elite troops in Zephyrian space, but the elite troops surrendered without firing a shot. They had heard what happened to other units that tried to fight the humans. They had heard about ships being turned against their own fleets. They had heard about impossible tactics that broke every rule of warfare. "They're not soldiers," Steve reported to Admiral Carter. "They're bureaucrats in military uniforms. They know how to follow orders, but they don't know how to fight." Dr. Amanda Price analyzed the captured Zephyrian military files. What she found explained everything. The Empire had not fought a real war in over 200 years. Their recent conquests had been against primitive species with no military technology. "They're not a military force," Amanda concluded. "They're a police force that got too big. They know how to intimidate defenseless civilians, but they don't know how to fight warriors." The last Zephyrian military base was destroyed on a small moon orbiting the planet, Rigel 4. It was a supply depot that stored ammunition for the entire sector. Captain Rodriguez's team planted explosives throughout the facility and detonated them simultaneously. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away. It marked the end of the Zephyrian Empire's ability to wage war. After 1,000 years of conquest, their military had been completely eliminated in less than 8 months. Admiral Carter sent a message to every civilization in the galaxy. A transmission was broadcast on all frequencies, translated into every known language, and repeated continuously for a full day. The Zephyrian Empire is no longer a threat to anyone. Their military has been eliminated. Their enslaved worlds have been liberated. Their weapons have been destroyed. Any species that threatens civilian populations will face the same fate. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Every major civilization in the galaxy sent diplomatic missions to Earth. Trade agreements were offered. Military alliances were proposed. Scientific cooperation was requested. The Galactic Council, a loose federation of peaceful species, sent a formal invitation to humanity. The message was delivered by Ambassador Zelther of the Andromedan Republic. "Humanity is invited to join the Council as a founding member," the ambassador announced. "Your military capabilities and tactical innovations are exactly what the galaxy needs to prevent future conflicts." The ceremony was held on Earth, in the same room where the decision for total war had been made 8 months earlier. Representatives from 43 species attended. It was the largest gathering of alien races in galactic history. General Patricia Hayes represented humanity at the ceremony. As she watched the Earth's flag being raised alongside those of dozens of other worlds, she reflected on what had been accomplished. "We didn't start this war," she said in her speech to the assembled delegates, "but we finished it. We showed the galaxy that aggression has consequences. We proved that bullies can be stopped." Commander Jake Morrison was present at the ceremony. He thought about the people who had died on Europa Station, Mars Colony Beta, and the Saturn mining platforms. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. Their deaths had awakened something in humanity that would protect countless other worlds. The Zephyrian Empire still existed, but only as a shadow of its former self. Their civilian population had been left alive but defenseless. They were now dependent on the mercy of the species they had once enslaved. Most chose to be merciful, but they never forgot. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Technology alone was not enough to guarantee victory. Superior numbers were not enough to ensure success. The most important factor in any conflict was the will to fight and the ability to adapt. Humanity had both in abundance. They had shown that they were not just good at war. They were the best warriors the galaxy had ever seen. They fought not for conquest or glory, but to protect the innocent and punish the guilty. The message was clear to every potential aggressor in the galaxy. Attack civilians at your own risk. Threaten the innocent and face the consequences. Start a war with humans, and they will make sure you never start another one. The Zephyrian Empire had made the first strike on Earth. They had killed human families and destroyed human homes. They had thought they were dealing with primitives who would surrender or die quietly. Instead, they had awakened a species that turned their superior technology against them, outfought their trained soldiers, and systematically eliminated their military capability. The aliens had made the first strike, but humanity had made sure it was their last dot. The galaxy was now at peace, protected by a species that understood both the cost of war and the necessity of strength. The lesson had been learned by all. Never underestimate humans and never threaten the people they care about. The war was over, the hunt was finished, and the galaxy was safe. Human fleet that left Earth was the most powerful military force in galactic history. 4,000 ships strong, it moved through space like a storm of vengeance. Half the ships were captured alien vessels that now fought for humanity. The other half were human ships upgraded with alien technology. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Earth's Fury. Through the viewports, she could see the massive fleet spread out across space. Each ship carried human crews who had one simple mission: make sure the Zephyrian Empire never threatened anyone again. The journey to the Zephyrian homeworld took the human fleet through 7 star systems that had been conquered by the Empire. In each system, they found species that had been enslaved for decades or centuries. All of them begged the humans to free them. The first liberated world was inhabited by the Kethalani people. They had been slaves for over 100 years. Their cities had been destroyed. Their culture had been nearly wiped out. But they still remembered how to fight. Vashti was one of the Kethalani leaders. She met with Admiral Carter to share information about the Zephyrian military. They are not warriors, Vashti explained. They are administrators who happen to have powerful weapons. They conquer through superior technology, not superior tactics. They have never faced a species that fights back effectively. The Kethalani provided detailed maps of Zephyrian military installations. They also provided something more valuable: intelligence about Zephyrian weaknesses. They fear close combat, Vashti said. They prefer to fight from a distance. They become confused when attacked from multiple directions. They have never learned to adapt when their plans fail. Each liberated world added more ships to the human fleet. The former slaves were eager to join the fight against their oppressors. They brought local knowledge, additional firepower, and most importantly, motivation. The second world they freed was inhabited by the Mordak, a species of engineers, who had been forced to build weapons for the Empire. They had been sabotaging alien equipment for 50 years, waiting for someone to lead a rebellion. "We have been preparing for this day," said Chief Engineer Korthak. "We know every weakness in their ships. We know how to disable their weapons. We know how to destroy their defenses." The Mordak had developed new technologies specifically designed to counter Zephyrian equipment. They had created computer viruses that could spread through alien networks. They had designed weapons that could penetrate alien shields. They had built tools for destroying alien infrastructure. By the time the human fleet reached the edge of Zephyrian space, it had grown to over 6,000 ships. The fleet included vessels from 12 different species, all united by their hatred of the Empire. The Zephyrian home world was called Zephyr Prime. It was the center of an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. It was defended by massive space stations, planetary shields, and a fleet of 5,000 warships. The planet's defenders were confident. They had never been successfully attacked. Their world was considered invincible. They had no idea that they were about to face an enemy unlike any they had ever fought. Admiral Carter studied the intelligence reports. The Zephyrian defenses were impressive but predictable. They followed standard military doctrine. They had no backup plans. They had no experience with unconventional warfare. "They're fighting the last war," Carter told her staff. "They're prepared for enemies who follow the same rules they do. They're not prepared for us." The attack on Zephyr Prime began with a deception. Commander Jake Morrison led a squadron of captured Zephyrian ships toward the planet. The ships were broadcasting proper identification codes. They appeared to be returning invasion fleets. The planetary defense network allowed them to approach without resistance. The defenders assumed they were friendly ships coming home from successful conquests. They had no idea that the ships were full of human